What's up, you bloodthirsty savages? UFC 318 is going down tomorrow night, and Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier are about to get into a fist fight for a third time. The other two were pretty badass. I expect this one to be as well. We got most confident picks on fire, back-to-back sweeps. We got premium channel on fire. DM at mikefinchshow on Instagram if you'd like to see my favorite bets this week. And now, let's kill this full card predictions. We'll start from the bottom, go all the way up to the top. We'll start with Kalari and Judice. Kalari, Judice, and Nicole Kalari, excuse me. Very, very difficult right there. I would say Nicole Kalari has good takedowns, and she'll need them here. As to where, Carly Judice, rangy striking. I think she'll be able to establish her jab and set up a head kick again. If you look at her last fight with Dubin, when she was throwing that 1-2, she started lowering it down to the chest, and Dubin was parrying that. She did that so she could set up that high kick that she eventually finished the fight with. I think that Judice should be able to do something like that again here, whether it's a finish or not. I do think her striking IQ is just higher than Nicole's, and that she'll be able to win at range. I'm going to take her via TKO, but it might go long. Bruno Ferreira and Jackson McVey. Jackson McVey's got good chokes, but he's skinny fat, and it's his UFC debut. I just feel like Bruno Ferreira is going to bully him. I think, making your UFC debut against Bruno Ferreira is an issue because of the physicality, because of the power, because of the exchanges that he's going to have to get into to try to get grappling with Bruno Ferreira. His submission game is a real threat. I mean, I think McVey is dangerous enough for me to not, fade him here, but he should be getting dropped by Bruno Ferreira. It's kind of unfortunate, right? He weighed in last time. He was ready to go. I hope he got paid his show money, because I think all he's going to get is show money here. I got Bruno Ferreira via knockout. Even though Jackson's chokes are nasty, I just don't think he gets the fight in those scenarios. I think Bruno Ferreira, every fight starts on the feet. That's going to serve him well. He'll probably give him a nice knuckle sandwich on Saturday. Bruno Ferreira knockout. Ryan Spann versus Łukasz Brzeski. Ryan Spann's big. He weighed in at 250 something with his sunglasses on. I think that Ryan Spann could get Łukasz Brzeski out of there. These are two guys who have better offense than they do defense, especially Spann, right? His offense is just very, very, very dangerous, and his defense is very, very lacking. So I feel like he's kind of throwing stones and living in a glass house. Unfortunately for Brzeski, I just don't see Brzeski being able to exploit the blitz of Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann's more dangerous with his striking and his submissions here. I think he finds one of the two is able to get Brzeski out of there. I'm going to guess this thing ends in the first 2 rounds as well. Ryan Spann, I'll go knockout. Jimmy Crute against Marcin Prachnio. Jimmy Crute's better on the ground. Betting on Jimmy Crute gives me anxiety because he's gone to 2 draws in his last couple fights. How are you going to a draw, man? How are you going to go to a draw twice in the last year? That's crazy work. But I think in this matchup, especially after, we just saw Prachnio get submitted. Was it a head and arm choke? I think that he sees that and will exploit that. I think I got to go with submission for Jimmy Crute here. And he's competent enough on the feet to set it up, to make it happen, to get a hold of Prachnio. Jimmy Crute via submission, getting into that W column, so we don't have to see another draw. Adam Fugitt versus Islam Dulatov. A lot of people high on this tall, skinny Chechnyan model dude. And his striking looks good. That elbow on Dana White Contender Series, that was nasty. That was impressive. I'm going to go with Fugitt. And I know that's crazy. I might be the only person on the internet going with Fugitt. He's like a 4-1 dog here. The reason why I'm going to lean that way is twofold. First off, it's Dulatov's UFC debut. And whenever you have a UFC debut, especially not at the Apex, he's over in Louisiana. This motherfucker's never been to Louisiana. Does this guy look like he eats gumbo? So he's out of his element. He's going to be a little nervous. I mean, how many times have we seen UFC debuts go bad? How many times have we seen people gas out in their debut? And he's fighting, a guy with some serious UFC experience, a southpaw, which takes away the calf kick, which is something I see Islam execute perfectly. But in this matchup, it's going to be taken away. It's going to be taken away. When you're orthodox fighting a southpaw, you're going to eat shin when you go below the knee. He's going to have to go above the knee or even to the body and head. Fugitt tucks his chin real well, hands up high. I just think he finds a way to eke out round 2 and round 3 and get this decision. Solid underdog, not one that I'm throwing the bank at and chasing or something, but definitely the biggest underdog I got on this card. Adam Fugitt. Fugitt. I'm going with Adam Fugitt. I think he gets it done via decision. Ateba Gautier versus Robert Valentin. Why do they just keep throwing Robert Valentin these giant, strong African-American males? This guy is just going back to back to back with this. He's outsized. He's outgunned here. I feel, and he almost missed weight. He had to weigh in twice, right? They brought the curtain out, right? I think Gautier's got too much fucking power. I mean, he's fighting the biggest 185ers they could possibly find for him. And I think he's going to get cracked. He's got dynamic striking, so he's not out of it, right? With Gautier, like, one thing I'm wondering is, does this guy slow down as the fight goes on? There's a lot of sort of unanswered questions, right, about Ateba. But is Robert Valentin the one to get those questions answered? Does he have a quick enough, finesse enough game with a high enough fight IQ? I think he gets a little chaotic in there, and I think he's going to get clipped. I think he's getting hit. So I'll go Ateba, either, knocking him out or just damaging him enough to, get a clean decision here. But there's questions for sure. And the odds are probably too wide. Whenever you see the odds that wide, you have to ask, like, is this person that reliable? I think Ateba has definitely not shown us that he's like a reliable, well-rounded fighter. That's not what I'm seeing, right? I'm seeing talent. I'm seeing power. But let's see, as he starts getting tougher matchups, the layers to the game. I'm still going to pick him here. Francisco Prado versus Veretennikov. I'm going to go Prado based on the striking. Prado looked fired up at weigh-ins. He's a short, little stocky guy, but I do think he puts those T-Rex arms to use and gets himself a knockout, puts pressure on Veretennikov. Veretennikov just not going to be able to match the power, the speed, the ability to throw hooks that Prado has. I think Prado can get him out of there. If Prado's patient, he could also kind of Joshua Van him and just wear him down and maybe even get a decision, but I'll go Prado knockout. Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. Now we're heating up. Marvin Vettori looked, pretty drained at weigh-ins. That was one of him and Paulo Costa. I mean, these are two big middleweights. Paulo Costa even bigger. It's like his traps leave when he weighs in. They pack up. They go somewhere else. They come back the next day. Marvin Vettori recently lost his brother. You saw him kiss the tattoo on his arm. I'm assuming it's his brother. He's been training in Florida over at American Top Team. I think, that's probably going to bear fruit for him. And so I'm on the fence about this one for sure. Brendan Allen, better at submission grappling, but, I've seen Marvin Vettori grapple with jiu-jitsu world champion Marcus Buchecha Almeida over at King's MMA. I've seen him work a lot with Fabricio Verdum. So I'm wondering if he can just negate the grappling and kind of grind out a decision here. Brendan Allen, good at striking too, so it's not like it's a free lunch there. You could see me debating this one in my head, right? I'm a bit of a Brendan Allen fan. He's got more talent, but Marvin Vettori's cardio is very impressive. Marvin Vettori, when he's pushed, when he's got to dig deep in the third round, when he's got a 5-round fight and he's the main event, you could always rely on him to grind in those championship rounds or in that third round. He could stay on the gas pedal. He has that kind of work ethic. I would go to pro practice at King's and he would be there in the morning. He was already there when I got there. He'd stick around. He'd hit pads. Then he'd go to UFC Jim Huntington Beach and ride the bike. Push his heart hard on the stationary bike. Like, this dude has a work ethic unlike the average UFC fighter. Marvin Vettori is very impressive with his mental toughness, his ability to push himself. Does he get a close decision here? It's very possible. Early lean was Brendan Allen. I'll go with Marvin Vettori decision. It's another dog for you. I'll go with Marvin Vettori decision. Didn't love, I've been leaning towards Vettori throughout the week, and then, I see the weigh-in. So, I've got no bet on it. But I think Marvin Vettori could pull this thing out. Round 2, round 3. Give me Vettori. Brendan Allen, very good. Would not be surprised to see Brendan Allen, land some big shots. And Brendan Allen's submission game is nice. I just don't think Marvin Vettori's that susceptible to that type of offense. Great fight. Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. I'm going Vinicius Oliveira. His striking is so impressive. His resume in the UFC, just 3-4 fights in. So impressive. Beat Ricky Simone. Beat Said Nurmagomedov. This is good. This is very good. Beat Bernardo Sopai. Bernardo Sopai was winning that fight, and then he knocks him out with like a top 10 KO of the year. That crazy flying knee. Was it a flying switch knee? I mean, this guy, super, super dangerous. He can jump. He can spin. And we saw him pushed in his last fight where he had to show that he can deal with being tired. So I like what I'm seeing from him. I think Kyler Phillips is a gatekeeper. You saw him get out wrestled. His striking's good, not great. I think Vinicius Oliveira probably gets him out of there. I'm going to say Vinicius Oliveira gets it done. Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. I thought of this as a death sentence earlier on. The more the week goes on, the more I'm thinking, okay, this could be a little bit closer. But Daniel Zellhuber, longer striker, in his prime, good kicker. I think those things are going to be tough for Michael Johnson to overcome. Michael Johnson, a powerful puncher, and power is usually the last thing to go as these guys age. But 40-year-old lightweights is not where it's at, right? It's not where it's at. 40-year-old heavyweights, hey, you might be able to stick around. Andrei Arlovsky was doing fine, right? But at lightweight, that would be unprecedented. I got to go with Daniel Zellhuber getting it done against Michael Johnson, who's got incredible wins. I mean, look at Michael Johnson's career. He beat Dustin Poirier. That's impressive, right? He's got a lot of quality wins, but he's also got a lot of losses, Sometimes he shows up and he's dangerous. I think Zellhuber from range gets it done on the cards. Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. No bias here. Pitbull's just, a friend of mine. Pitbull's the fucking man. Of course I'm rooting for Pitbull. That was a joke, by the way. I'm totally biased on this one, so don't listen to me at all on this pick. I like that Patricio Pitbull's like a similar height here, similar size to Dan Ige, Dan Ige's tight style where he boxes real well, will be interesting against Patricio's kind of explosive, more open stance. For those of you that don't know, Captain Eric Albarracin took Patricio Pitbull and Henry Cejudo, I believe, over to the Olympic Training Center to go train with a karate Olympian. And they went over footwork, stance, darting in, darting out, sort of how to set up your strikes, how to feint from a karate stance. And you see how wonderfully they've implemented it. I mean, look at the earlier career of Patricio Pitbull, where it's just like Brazilian Muay Thai, bite down on the mouthpiece, go get in a fucking fire and make sure this guy gets burnt worse than you. And then go watch like the evolution, like watch the Michael Chandler Patricio Pitbull fight where he avenged his brother's knockout loss. I was there live, by the way. Goes out there and just smokes Michael Chandler. And he did it from that karate stance, that open stance, right? And he's so fucking explosive, right? Those legs are so strong. He's able to, boom, get in there and bang that overhand right. He was saying to, I think it was the media actually, after that fight, like, yeah, I don't throw jabs. Like, we don't train jabs anymore, right? That's not his style. He doesn't throw a jab. He doesn't need it, right? He's going to use that distance and that timing, make you kind of crash in and boom, time you, catch you with a big shot. Can that work against Dan Ige? Yes, it can. I do think Patricio Pitbull's the better fighter. Dan Ige, jiu-jitsu black belt. Patricio Pitbull's better at jiu-jitsu. Dan Ige, a UFC veteran. Patricio Pitbull, even more experience, championship level experience outside of the UFC, of course. The problem is Pitbull? Is he in his prime, right? That's what we're wondering here, because in the last fight, he did not pull the trigger. Will Patricio Pitbull pull that trigger here is the question. If he doesn't, yeah, Dan Ige is going to win. His team, has been saying it. I like where they're at. I believe it was in the embedded. They were saying it as well. Like, hey, he needs to beat Pitbull. He needs to go out there and get in a fight. I can imagine him, laying on the gas pedal a little more here and doing his thing, man. Patricio Pitbull, prime Patricio Pitbull knocks out Dan Ige. I'll say he gets past Dan Ige here. Another dog. Kevin Holland versus D-Rod. D-Rod. He was over at Classic Fight Team last week. Ran into him. I think he's going to get knocked out by Kevin Holland, man. Kevin Holland looks so fucking good in the last one. Did he not? Holy shit. Kevin Holland was looking explosive, man. Kevin Holland's a problem. At welterweight, he's real good. At middleweight, he was just getting bullied by these big wrestlers. That ain't D-Rod, right? D-Rod's straight up LA Muay Thai. I feel like Kevin Holland's going to get him out of there, man. D-Rod's tough for sure. D-Rod will counterpunch anybody. But Kevin Holland's speed, his submission ability, if he clubs, D-Rod with something or, whatever scrambles happen. I mean, his chokes are really nice. I think that Kevin Holland gets this thing done. He was already matched up with D-Rod, and you could say the same thing for D-Rod. Like, they were already training for each other. But I think it's hard to train for a Kevin Holland. He's so damn fast and explosive and, dynamic. He's got the submission game, Travis Lutter black belt, and it shows. It shows. Shout out Travis Lutter. Anybody who knows who Travis Lutter is, he fought Anderson Silva. You guys remember that? Anderson Silva with the fucking elbows to the head, getting the fight stopped. As soon as I saw that, I just downloaded that. I'm like, okay, next time I got somebody in a triangle, they're eating these elbows, right? Showing a lot of people that one. Kevin Holland getting him out of there. Let's go knockout. Co-main event. The biggest middleweight in the game. Paulo Costa is taking on Roman Kopylov. Style clash here. Roman Kopylov, quick jab, kicker. Not a big middleweight, right? Paulo Costa, a heavyweight. I mean, you see him. I got to hang out with him a couple times. One time when he did the liver eating challenge versus Liver King in LA here. And he looks way bigger than like Cain Velasquez. Paulo Costa is bigger than Cain Velasquez. Okay. He is massive. How does this guy make 185 pounds? Makes no sense. No sense. Against Roman Kopylov, I think he needs to be a bit of a pit bull here. He needs to go get him, because if he sits on the outside and plays that like kick for kick game he's been playing, you can imagine Roman Kopylov dotting him up, kicking those legs, just using that jab, breaking that nose, getting that thing bleeding. You know, if you listen to Paulo Costa, he agrees. He's like, I got to get back to my old self. I got to get back to the guy who went there, got in a fight. Because Paulo Costa is not a 5-round fighter. You know, Marvin Vettori was able to just survive eating those fucking heavy kicks. Paulo Costa can just break people with kicks. It looks like he's going to break every bone he hits. You know, if he gets explosive again, uses the clinch, uses his grappling, that would be smart, right? Jesus, my wife needs to fix Mike Finch'S show sign. I'll call in tech support, okay? If he becomes old Paulo Costa, just stylistically, I think he wins. I think he gets it done. Paulo Costa hasn't won in so long. Yeah, I get it. Look at the guys he's fighting. You know, he's fighting world class. I mean, they put Paulo Costa up there with the best in the world. You know, they put him with Luke Rockhold. He won. Didn't look great in that performance. I think Paulo Costa can get it done. All right. It's another dog. Jesus, got a lot of dogs on this card. Going Paulo Costa, motherfuckers. Last one. The trilogy. The Blessed Express. Max Holloway taking on Dustin Poirier. 2 fan favorites. 2 guys who you know cannot have a bad fight. They just do not know how to have a boring fight. Neither of these guys. Right? Dustin said, hey, I've tried to be more strategic sometimes. I just get pulled into that fire. I get pulled into these types of fights, right? I go out there with a game plan. And I think it's the same thing. Like on Embedded, Max Holloway's like, hey, get the cameras out of here. Like, bro, we know you're going to try to head kick him. You know, who wouldn't? Right? I think all that shit goes out the window as soon as these guys start exchanging, you know? They're going to fall right back into their style, and we know how they match up. It's a great fight. Max Holloway has the volume, the output, a little bit better with the footwork, the pivots, especially. Max Holloway gets angles on people, right? Throws 3, 4, 5 punches instead of 1 or 2. Dustin Poirier cracks. Dustin Poirier, you know, as much as he's complimented Max Holloway's size coming into this one, he's like, oh man, he looked big. He looked filled in the lightweight. Dustin Poirier's been the filled in lightweight. Dustin Poirier is bigger than Max Holloway. It matters, you know. It mattered in the last fight a lot. You could see when Max Holloway would hit Dustin, you know, he kind of rolls with it. When Dustin hits Max, it's like, oh, there's blood. Oh, Max is cut, you know. Max is a little hurt, you know, and Max does a great job dealing with it. But, you know, Max is fucking awesome at striking. He's the best boxer in the UFC, except for Poirier, bro. Poirier outboxed you, dog. You know, Poirier is a bad matchup for Max Holloway. You know, you could do the MMA math all you want. Oh, well, you know, Holloway knocked out Gaethje, but Gaethje knocked out Poirier, so that must mean Max is going to knock out Poirier. Bro, he's 0 for 2 against Poirier. Mike, that was a long time ago. Yeah, look at what the fucking war that Poirier just gave Islam Makhachev. Look at the vicious performance he put on Benoit Saint-Denis. I mean, he was letting his hands go, jumping Gilly after Gilly was wild and not the move, but damn, his hands look good. You know, I've said this a lot. Poirier punches with you. It's different. A lot of counter punchers, they slip, throw. That was more of a pull. They slip, throw. They pull, throw. They roll, they throw, right? They float. That's where you move your feet back. They throw. With Poirier, he does that, but he punches with you. So as Max is mid combo, Poirier just enters. Boom, boom. He just lets his shots go. He comes in there, steps into the fire, and delivers his own shots, and they're nice shots. They're big shots. They hurt Holloway. I think Holloway's volume gets him into trouble against Dustin Poirier. I think Dustin Poirier gets this thing done in his retirement fight in his home state of Louisiana, and then ends up coming out of retirement because I don't think he could stay out the game, man. Come on. When that White House card starts coming around, Poirier's going to be like, maybe I could run one more. If they're like, hey, man, you want to fight Ilia Topuria for the lightweight title? He's probably going to be like, probably makes sense. $1 million. Yeah, I could probably do that, right? Right? Come on, man. Like when you fight, it's a love-hate thing, right? It's a love-hate thing. The hate comes into where you don't want to be training that much, sparring that much. You're injured. You still got to show up. The fight is grueling. You're nervous. You can't go to fucking sleep at night because you're thinking about if your opponent does this, you got to do this. In his last fight, he did this. I need to be prepared for this. Did I train this enough? It's a tough game. But when that paycheck hits, when the crowd goes wild, when you're walking out, I mean, Poirier loves aspects of this game. There's no mistake about it. I think he's going to be back. I think Poirier gets it done. Your last underdog of the card, although it's a slight one, I'll go with the Diamond, Dustin Poirier. You ready for these rapid fire picks? Let's go. Dustin Poirier, Paulo Costa, Kevin Holland, Patricio Pitbull, Daniel Zellhuber, Vinicius Oliveira. I flipped to Marvin Vettori. I hope I don't regret that one, Marvin. Grind this shit out. Francisco, Prado, Ateba, Gautier, Adam Fugitt, Jimmy Crute, Ryan Spann, Bruno Ferreira, and then give me Carly Judice. Those are my full card predictions for UFC 318 going down tomorrow night. If you want to see who I'm betting on, DM at MikeFinchshow on Instagram. We'll get you in there. And the free channel link is also in the description. That hits very often. And I'll also be on after the fights so we can come hang out. Maybe it's Saturday night. I don't know. My wife is taking me to some party in LA, maybe. Maybe I go to that. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm here and I just do the show right after the fights. That would be nice. Maybe it's Sunday, but I will do a recap show for you guys. Check back for that for show. Like and subscribe. Turn the post notifications on, and I think then you'll be notified when I go live, right? Wouldn't that be great? Hang out. What up, everybody? Let's go. Let's go, Brendan Knox. First time making it live. Welcome, Jacob Milson. Let's get it, Patrick Lopez. Big M. Big T. What's up, Big T? Let's go, Patrick. You guys got anything for me? Finchman, what do you think of Holland, Ige, Spann, Oliveira at plus 290? I generally don't go 4-leg parlays. When I do, I go in, right? It's a 7-legger and I'm just kind of fucking around. If it's a parlay, it's 2 and rarely sometimes 3, right? If I parlay, that's my 2 cents. Max Holloway wins. Man is physically bigger than last time. He will hit harder than Dustin this time around. Whoa. Don't forget, based on what? Don't forget Max landed more, just not hard enough in their previous match. Yes, I do know that. I am familiar with Max Holloway's style, as I just broke it down for y'all. I think Max's volume gets him into trouble against Dustin Poirier. First time at the live. What up, Joe? Robert also didn't look best on the scale, I'm saying. Marvin Vettori and Brendan Allen about to have a mid-off. Bro, Tyson, why you got hate, bro? Why you got hate? Are they that mid? Brendan Allen's good. Come on, they're both good. Are they mid? They're upper mid, bro. Quit hating. Battle for the lowest IQ in the UFC, Tyson. That's crazy work. What's up? What's up, my guy? Let's get this money tomorrow. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Oliveira by 3rd round finish. I think Kyler could gas and get styled on. He could even shoot a bad takedown and get guillotined or darced. Yeah, I think that Vinicius Oliveira is dangerous everywhere for him, specifically the striking. And no, I wouldn't expect 3rd round, man. Vinicius Oliveira, I think 1 or 2, bro. Get him out of there. But why would you chase a finish on that card if you're betting on that fight if you're betting on it? I don't know why you would do that. I'm skipping some of you. Sorry. Let's fucking go. Catching Finch Man on the live. That means it's going to be a great weekend. Mike Finch is the GOAT of the pick game. Thank you, Jordan Bryan. I appreciate that very much. Fist right back to you. Boom. Appreciate that love. Max gets it done. More volume. And his body is ready for 155 now. Dustin fought Max 6 years ago and barely won. And he's 36 now. What's wrong with being 36, bro? What's wrong with 36, man? Plenty of UFC champions at 36. Ain't nothing wrong.